Resident Evil 5.
Hello there, sorry from 17 once again. This is my Resident Evil 5 professional difficulty video walkthrough. This is chapter 2.3 and it's called Savanna. This is an on-rail shooting section that is more difficult for wrong reasons. Namely, you cannot aim the full breadth of where you need to aim, so there are moments where you physically cannot shoot the people you need to shoot, and you're also doing this with AI, who should be killing people where you aren't looking to back you up, but she barely does that, so you're going to get hit by Molotovs and axes that really shouldn't hit you if you were playing with a competent player. I'm not. I'm playing with AI, and as much as I didn't struggle with this section, it's easy to struggle with it because you can take a lot of cheap damage. The biggest hints I can give you here is try to be everywhere at once. Try to just stun and make people flinch and put a couple of bullets into them and then immediately try and get the next target. Always be looking left and right, always be looking for the next target, and the more you play this, the more you'll learn the spawns, but hopefully you won't need to because you'll do it first time and never have to put up with Sheva ever again. But it's a lot of checkpoints, it's decent on the old checkpoints, but right now, when this van gets close, there's no way in hell I can even shoot it, so I'm not even going to try, because the game won't allow me, and I find that baffling personally. But it's the way it's designed. It's meant to have you and your partner working in unison together as a team and covering each other properly. It's meant to have that ultimate teamwork. You can't have ultimate teamwork with an AI that does what they want. It's just impossible. But in the last video I was talking about the melee moves, and I was looking up some numbers just then, but because when I come out of full screen on this, it enables me not to be able to move or click. I can't go through them as well as I would like, so I could, get them up on Photoshop and chuck them in as an overlay and then remove it so I could talk about them with accurate numbers, but instead I'm going to use my trusty crappy memory and I'm going to go through a couple of values just to give you a heads up on what they are. And apparently, when you do a head stun or a knee stun, it does equal damage of 400 as Chris. 400 damage is a lot, and it's the one you want to go for because it's the most damaging one outside of his Haymaker. The Haymaker does a lot, but it's only tag team specific. So can you remember when I mentioned if Sheva would kick an enemy who's grabbed us and it would open them up for another move from us, we would do the Haymaker then, and apparently the Haymaker does 3000 damage, which is insane. I have no idea if that's accurate, but it could be. So Haymaker, if you ever see that prompt, you want to do it because it's massive damage. It's insane damage and it's much needed. When the enemy's on the ground, the stomp will do 600 damage. It sounds like it does about 7 damage, but apparently it does 600, which is 200 more than some of the melee prompts, which is really, really good. And apparently the stab you can do on the ground against the Lickers is 1200 damage. And I know that the stab as Sheva does 1200 damage as well, because apparently it's meant to be an instant kill, but I think it's only an instant kill technically if you do enough damage, so bear that in mind. Apparently the saving the partner attack animation does 500 damage, which is not quite as high as I said, but if it opens up a Haymaker, you're looking at 3500 damage, and there's nothing on this game outside of Mr. T and the Chainsaw people who can survive that kind of damage, and maybe the Black Wrestler guy. So it's worth your time if you can do them, guys. The melee attacks are ridiculously powerful, and you should be utilising them as much as possible. It just makes sense, I think. Really, really useful. And I don't know how you make Sheva do them. That's my only issue with them. But here is the boss fight against a guy who looks a lot like the Gigante from 4, but it's not him. He doesn't have a fantastic beard like this guy. Beard of, like a dress of human bodies and a fancy pants beard that doesn't look like it's attached to his face. And this boss makes me laugh because every time you shoot him in the face, he kind of goes with his chin, and his chin goes up and down, and it just makes me giggle. I don't know why, I'm very childish, but it does. And the strategy here is simple. When he gets close to you, he'll do an attack. You want to shoot him in the face to interrupt it. When his parasites come out, you want to shoot them to kill them. Once you've killed all the parasites, he'll die. This takes forever on Professional for some reason. There are 3 threats outside of this boss. The first is on your left. He will chuck Molotovs at you and perhaps dynamite if you get unlucky. And then on the right there will be 2 crossbow guys who are not the most accurate, but you want to get rid of them just in case they start getting fancy. The extra threat is from this creature. The boss will do moves that require quick time events to dodge. Sometimes you'll get quick times, sometimes you'll have to interrupt it by shooting. There's no real distinction between the two, I don't think. And if there is, I just haven't noticed. So you want to make sure you never overheat your gun, because 9 times out of 10 Sheva will not save you, and you want to always pay attention that occasionally you're going to have to duck. And if you don't, you're going to lose a lot of life. I only died here once, and it's just because of simple attrition. I was making too many stupid mistakes, I was getting hit by the dudes on the side, and then this guy swung one of the telephone poles at me, and I missed. I didn't press X, and I got fucked. There's me overheating my gun, hoping Sheva will save me, and she actually did. That was the 1 in 10 chance of that happening. And all this is now is shoot this dude in the face for the next few minutes until his things come out, and then shoot those with, full prejudice. Luckily enough, this is probably, outside of the water level, this is the last gimmick in the game that you're going to have to really put up with that's too annoying. Like, there are plenty more gimmicks coming up, but they're so short that they don't compare. Like, you're going to do a spinning platform where aiming's very difficult and the enemies all have perfect aim so they can hit you fine. You're going to have moments where you're on conveyor belts, so you're always moving and it makes movement kind of annoying, and you can get put in a few bad spots. There's going to be moments where the screen is shaking because explosions are happening, and everybody loves having aim affected by explosions and shaky screen like we're in some kind of Paul Greengrass movie. But it happens and you have to deal with it. But all of it is, as I mentioned, short enough so that it doesn't become too much of a pain in the dick. But keep on shooting this guy. He's going to get his little surprise out of his back again. It'd be nice if you could do something here, like get off the gun and go and stick a grenade in it, or shoot a rocket at it to make this quicker. But I don't know of any mechanic like that, so instead we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way with this gun. And I do think this is a fun section, it just outstays its welcome, in my opinion. So is there anything else worth mentioning in this moment while we've got a moment that I haven't spoken of so far? I've told you where we're going upgrade-wise, that you can do it too. I've told you that you can do the reloading techniques, I've told you that you can run faster with the grenade, I've told you about the melee damages, I've told you about the stun locks with the shotguns and the rifles that you're going to see evidence later on. The stun rod, that could be something worth talking about. The stun rod apparently does 600 damage a hit. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but if it's true, that is a very good and useful tool. The problem with it is, I gave it to Sheva and she didn't use it. She just would not use it. She had nothing in her inventory but the rod, and she was knifing people instead. Which is a pain in the dick, because the knife does 50 damage, whereas the stun rod does 600 damage apparently. Once again, these are all numbers I'm pulling off of wikis and I don't know how accurate they are. You would think that in 2016, having this game been out for 7 years, we would know what these damage variables are, but every website says something different, and it's tricky to get a consensus. But 600 damage is no joke. I would recommend experimenting with it for saving ammo purposes, because it's a good tool. And if you can knock people down with a melee prompt, run up and then hit them with the stun rod, it's a free kill. Because 600 damage is going to be more than anybody can take outside of specials. And then the specials you can, always use something different. And I'd be curious if you can shoot people for stun, run in, hit them with stun rod, and then do the command prompt, or does the stun rod interrupt the melee prompt? I'll have to test that. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.